The ultrasound technician froze mid-scan, her hand pausing in midair, her face draining of all color. She didn't utter a word. Instead, she pressed her lips tightly together as if locking away whatever she had just seen. After a tense beat, she muttered an excuse and hurried out of the room, shutting the door behind her with an audible click. I turned toward my wife. She gave me a faint smile, her fingers brushing across her stomach. "He's probably just grabbing the doctor," she said lightly, but there was a faint crack in her voice that most people wouldn't have noticed. I did. Minutes later, the doctor entered. He didn't look at her, his gaze locked directly on me. "Step into the hallway," he whispered. Under the harsh hum of fluorescent lights, his words cut through everything else. "Don't argue. Don't sign anything. Call an attorney, then leave." The weight of his tone pressed into my chest. "Why?" I asked, each syllable sharp. He angled the monitor toward me, showing a single frozen frame. "When you see this," he said quietly, "you'll understand." One glance, and something deep inside me splintered, cleanly, silently. I walked back into the room, sat beside my wife, and smiled. I didn't take her hand. The drive home blurred into nothing. My wife filled the silence with complaints about the clinic, excuses about stress, idle chatter about paint colors for the nursery and baby names. Her words felt rehearsed, mechanical. I barely heard her. Because what I had seen on that screen wasn't what she assumed I'd seen. The fetus was far too developed for the timeline she'd given me. The timestamp on the scan betrayed her. I didn't ask questions. I didn't accuse her. I simply did the math. The days, the weeks, the months she assumed I'd never count. The pregnancy didn't align with me. Not even close. And every time her eyes flickered when I caught her gaze, it was confirmation enough. She already knew what I had discovered. She was just waiting for me to say it. But I wouldn't. Not yet. I began to fade into the background of my own life, deliberate and quiet. While she slept, I sifted through her phone with surgical precision, returning every app to the exact screen she'd left it on. I copied phone numbers, tracked her call history. A pattern emerged: late nights, secret meetings disguised as work emergencies. Always hidden. Always just out of reach. I ordered a DNA test kit. Not for her, for me. A hairbrush, a toothbrush, and later, a trace sample from a shirt carelessly left on the floor. Days turned into weeks, my silence stretching tighter, sharper. But that silence became my greatest weapon. She never suspected a thing. Why would she? Men like me are expected to demand answers, rage, punch walls. Instead, I played the part of the doting husband, smiling through dinners, rubbing her back when she faked nausea. I even painted the nursery she wanted, every brushstroke an act of patience and restraint. Inside, I kept a meticulous record. Every lie she spun, every flimsy excuse, I stored away. Evidence accumulated quietly, waiting for its moment. When the envelope finally arrived, plain, clinical, unremarkable, I no longer held suspicion. I held proof. I waited until evening. Dinner on the table. Candles lit. Soft music playing. She looked radiant in her performance of domestic bliss, a hand resting tenderly on her stomach, a carefully rehearsed smile on her lips. I placed the envelope beside her plate. "Open it," I said. Her fork stilled midair. "What is this?" "Proof." She hesitated before sliding out the paper. Black letters on white paper, mercilessly clear. Not mine. Never mine. Her face crumbled in slow motion, shock giving way to panic, panic bleeding into desperate control. "Listen." I raised my hand. Calm. Steady. "No." She shattered then. Words poured from her lips like blood from an open wound. Excuses, apologies, please. "It was a mistake." "I didn't mean, please, I can explain." But there was nothing left to explain. I had already understood. And understanding is far deadlier than rage. I stood, slipping the report back into the envelope. "You'll need this," I said flatly. "For court." Her breath hitched. "Court." I spoke to an attorney the day of the ultrasound. "The papers are ready. Custody won't even be a question." Her face twisted, desperation curdling into fury. "You can't just walk away from me." "I already have." I left the envelope on the table, but not the originals. Those were copied and locked away. Her trembling hands reached for me. "We can fix this," she begged. I stepped back, just out of her reach. You buried us the moment you thought I wouldn't notice. You were wrong. She collapsed into sobs, bargaining through broken gasps, but to me, her voice was only static now. I had already won. Without yelling, without breaking a single thing, without pity. The house was silent when I left. No suitcase. No backward glance. Just my keys, my wallet, my freedom. Outside, the night air felt sharp, cleaner than it had in years. I thought of the nursery upstairs, the freshly painted walls, the folded baby clothes. All of it built on lies. All of it meaningless now. She would remain there among the ruins she created. I would never step foot inside that house again. Betrayal has a sound. It's not the roar of rage or the wail of heartbreak. It's quieter. Like a single door shutting for the last time. Mine closed that night. Without hesitation. Without regret. The child was never mine. But the silence that followed belonged to me, and it's the only inheritance I left behind.